I never thought much about my neighbour, Mr. Devlin, at first. He was a quiet man, kept mostly to himself. His house was on the corner of our block, old and a bit run down, but nothing too strange for our small town. The lawn was always overgrown, the windows always shut, and he never seemed to have any visitors. The only time I ever really noticed him was when I caught him watching me from his porch. His eyes, dark and unblinking, always gave me a shiver down my spine. But I shrugged it off. People are weird sometimes, right? Things started getting strange a few months after I moved in. There was a faint smell sometimes, like something rotting. At first, I thought it was coming from the trash bins out back, but no matter how often I cleaned them, it never went away. Then there was the noise, a faint scraping sound at night. I couldn't figure out where it was coming from, but it seemed to echo through my house. I'd check all the rooms, but nothing was out of place. It was as if the sound was in my head. One night I woke up to a thudding noise, slow and rhythmic. My heart pounded as I sat up in bed, straining to listen. The sound was coming from outside. I crept to the window and peeked through the blinds, and there he was, Mr. Devlin. He was in his backyard digging. The moonlight illuminated his figure, his movements deliberate and methodical. I felt a chill run down my spine, but I told myself it was nothing. People dig holes in their backyard for all sorts of reasons, right? But the next morning, when I went out to grab the paper, there was a fresh patch of dirt in his yard. No flowers, no trees, just a mound. My gut told me something was wrong, but I didn't want to believe it. The real terror started one evening when I came home late from work. I saw Mr. Devlin standing in my driveway. He wasn't doing anything, just standing there, staring at my house. His face was expressionless, but his eyes were filled with something dark, something I couldn't quite place. I froze, not knowing whether to confront him or go inside. After what felt like forever, he turned and walked back to his house without saying a word. That night I couldn't sleep. The sound of scraping returned, louder this time. It was coming from the walls. I grabbed a flashlight and searched every inch of the house, but there was nothing. I felt like I was going insane. I sat down on the couch trying to calm myself when I heard a whisper. At first I thought it was my imagination, but then it grew louder. He's watching. My blood ran cold. I bolted for the door and flung it open, but the street outside was empty. Just as I was about to close it, I caught a glimpse of something across the street. Mr. Devlin was standing by his window, watching me. The next day, I called the police. I told them about the noises, the strange behavior, and the digging. They came to investigate, but after looking around, they told me there was nothing suspicious. People are allowed to dig in their own backyard, the officer said, shrugging. They told me to call again if anything else happened, but nothing did. Not for a while, at least. Weeks passed and things started to quiet down. I convinced myself it was all in my head, that I was just overreacting. But then, one night, I woke up to the sound of my front door creaking open. I felt a surge of panic as I reached for the bat I kept beside my bed. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, echoed through the house. My hands trembled as I crept toward the noise, bat raised. The house was dark, but I could see a shadow moving in the hallway. "Who's there?" I whispered, my voice shaking. The footsteps stopped, and for a moment everything was silent. Then, from the darkness, I heard it. A low, guttural laugh. It sent a wave of terror through me. I lunged forward, flipping on the hallway light. No one was there. My heart was pounding as I checked every room, every closet, but there was no sign of anyone. The door was still locked. I couldn't explain it. I was losing my mind. The next day, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. I went to Mr. Devlin's house, determined to confront him. But when I knocked, there was no answer. The house looked empty, abandoned even. The yard, once overgrown, was now a mess of trampled grass and overturned dirt. I couldn't stop thinking about that mound of dirt I'd seen before. What was he burying? Later that night, I heard it again, the laughter, but this time it was closer, right outside my bedroom window. My stomach dropped as I slowly walked toward the window. I pulled back the curtain, and there, standing in the yard, was Mr. Devlin. His face was twisted into a grotesque smile, his eyes wide and wild. He raised a finger to his lips and whispered, "Shh." I slammed the window shut and grabbed my phone, dialing 911 with trembling fingers. But when the operator picked up, the line went dead. I tried again. Nothing. Panic surged through me. I was trapped alone, with a madman watching my every move. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the corner of my room, clutching the bat, waiting for something, anything, but nothing came. The next morning, Mr. Devlin's house was empty. The police found nothing inside, no trace of him, but I knew he was still watching.